It's a divisional matchup at Allegiant. How will the Raiders match up with the Broncos' top 5 defense? NFL insider James Palmer has the scoop. Plus, former Raider Brice Butler tells us why it could all come down to the fourth quarter. And Raiders rookie wide receiver Jack Bech joins us. The Silver and Black Show starts now. Welcome into the Silver and Black Show. I'm JT the Brick, filling in for Amber Theo Harris. The last time the Raiders played the Broncos back in Week 10, they lost by just 3 points. Daniel Carlson missed a late fourth quarter field goal that would have tied it up. The Raiders defense held the number 1 team in the AFC West to just 10 points. This weekend they have a chance for a rematch and to get a win, and for an opportunity to get back on track with Greg Olsen calling the plays. To help break down the matchup, we welcome in NFL insider from The Athletic, James Palmer. James, so great to see you. I'm going to jump right in. The Raiders have lost 6 in a row. The Broncos have won 9 in a row. Give us your national perspective on the Raiders coming into this game.
Yeah, Raiders are an interesting spot, right? You've lost 2 coordinators. You're still trying to hang on towards the end of the season and making sure you're trying to head into the offseason in a positive manner. I mean, you've already been eliminated in that sense. So do you get your young talent to grow in terms of Ashton Genty? I think everybody across the entire landscape of the NFL has been waiting to see what he can do in terms of breaking out and getting the right running room to be able to go out and make plays with the group that's operating in front of him. How can this offense operate a little bit differently, maybe more in a rhythm is what everybody's kind of looking for with Ollie kind of running the shots, and we all kind of know what he is as a play caller and how he operates most of an offense. Does that change the course of some of these turnovers when they operate more in a rhythm and being entirely on the same page? I think everybody also around the NFL that I talk to just loves watching Brock Bowers play football, and I think that's a big part of it. And he's considered one of the best, if not the best, tight end in all of football. And that's somebody that the Broncos have struggled with. They've struggled with tight ends as a defense. They're one of the best units in football, but that's an aspect that they have struggled with over the last couple seasons dating back. And can you find some explosive plays in that manner to go against a really, really good defense? So I think there's a variety of opinions out there right now, but I think also the Broncos have been, we'll talk about it, playing with fool's gold a little bit, playing close to the edge. Could the Raiders be the type of team that knock them off? They certainly are capable of doing it.
Well, they were in the last game, and I want to get to the Broncos, 8-2 in one-score games. James, their last 4 games decided by a total of 10 points. They're just amazing late in games. Give me your perspective on Denver.
Yeah, you could look at it from 2 sides of the coin, and I've been around this team a lot. And I would say the one side of it is Sean Payton's done a very good job with a young team teaching them how to win and how to win close games, something that they were terrible at a season ago. And he's great at instilling confidence and telling this group late in games that, you know, we will be the ones that come out victorious. I think Bo Nix has a very similar mindset to that they do believe he plays his best football when his back's against the wall. He can be a little bit more of an athlete in the way he plays the position, end to half, end to game, and kind of the up-tempo type of stuff. And that's where he kind of thrives. He doesn't panic in these big moments. I think that's something they've definitely learned from their quarterback. The reason they've been in these close games and they've had to kind of claw their way out and have been certainly fortunate in a lot of them is the first 3 quarters with their quarterback have not been very good. I mean, if you look at him as a whole, he has one of the lowest, I think it's the lowest passer rating for any quarterback to have a 9-game win streak in more than a decade. It's like 84. And so you can find ways to maybe impact this offense throughout the first 3 quarters, and teams have certainly done that. What's ended up happening is that this defense keeps these games close till it comes down to the wire, and then you can see Bo Nix maybe have some of this magic. And is it able to be sustainable? I think that's what everybody's curious about when this team sits near the top of the AFC. Can they do this throughout the course of a year and into the postseason when we all know postseason play is different? I think that's what everybody's waiting for. They've been impressed with the Broncos. There's no argument there. But I think there's plenty of holes, specifically on the offensive side of the ball, that a lot of people think that they can exploit, but the Broncos have become very, very fortunate this year.
You just nailed it there. I've never seen a team like this, and I've been covering the league almost 30 years, when they're in the fourth quarter with under 5 minutes to go. And I think some of it has to do with halftime adjustments and what Sean Payton does. But you talked about the calmness of Bo Nix. The game slows down for him in the most difficult time of the game, when they're trailing or it's tight in the fourth quarter. That's a lot of composure. Do you think that has to do with all the snaps he took in college?
Yeah, I mean, I think the kid's 37 years old and in his second NFL season. So yeah, I think all those snaps in college definitely played a part. I mean, you're right. That was one of the things that was coming into that draft 2 years ago. And you look at the snaps that he had and Jaden Daniels had and Michael Penix was a big reason why he was drafted where he was at and the amount of snaps that they had and different offenses that they played in. I mean, Bo has had a number of offensive coordinators throughout the course of his college career. And so I think that's prepared him for a lot of these bigger moments. I mean, when you play at Auburn and your dad is a star at Auburn in the SEC. Like he's had a lot of pressure, in his career. What I do think he is allowed to do is he's allowed to push back on Sean Payton a little bit, and I think that relationship allows this to succeed even further. And I think they actually, you're right, have been, and I agree with this. They've been fortunate. I've been at some of these games. The ball's fallen their way, but at the same time, it didn't fall their way against the Colts. There was that leveraging penalty, which we so rarely see called on a field goal that lost them that game to Indianapolis late in the game. So I do think there is a way to say teams find ways to win. Certainly. And I think good teams do find ways to win. And then there is, we're seeing it with the Chiefs to where the pendulum can swing in either direction in a lopsided manner at times. And I think the Broncos are being very fortunate in taking advantage of that. I think what they also do is they don't hurt themselves late in games. They allow you to make other mistakes. I think the Bears are very good at that, for an example.
I know you want to get into Patrick Surtain, who didn't play in the first game against the Raiders, and Brock Bowers. I'm fascinated by this matchup because of their age. Brock Bowers only had 4 targets in the last game, 2 red zone touchdowns. I think the Raiders and Greg Olsen want to get him moving at the line of scrimmage because he's going to be bracketed. When you look at the tape of this potential matchup, what do you see with these 2 great young players?
There's a rare combination of size and speed and agility in a corner in Pat Surtain, which is, it's funny. There was all this talk about why they drafted Surtain and why they picked him. And I remember going to his pro day. It was actually fascinating because it was his pro day and J.C. Horn's pro day back-to-back days. So all the scouts, myself included, I'm not a scout, but we all went to the pro days back-to-back, and you're going, nobody moves at the size of Surtain. And the reason Denver kind of was so interested in him was like, tight ends in the division and bigger receivers in the division, and they're so hard to cover. And this is the one that, it's shifted now, I think, where everybody said, could he guard Travis Kelce? Now it's like, it's going to be him versus Brock Bowers for the next decade. And that's what we're excited to see. And so he has the size and the length. His length is the thing I'm always told around the league is just that separates him from everybody else. He can get beat by a step and recover so quickly. And I think Brock's such a good route runner. And in terms of setting corners up or setting safeties up or linebackers and lulling them into a certain spot where then he can take advantage of the next extra step, that's where Pat's really, really good at kind of catching up with his length and catching up if he lost that step. So that's that little like end of the route, top of the stem type of thing that I think is the most fascinating thing we're going to see when these 2 guys have an opportunity to line up against each other.
Well, as you know, Geno Smith's been sacked 15 times in the last 2 games. This team, the Broncos, lead the NFL in sacks. So something's got to give here. Do the Raiders need to move the pocket? Does the ball have to come out quicker? At this point in the season, you can't count on the Raiders' offensive line to just wake up and have an unbelievable game when it comes to pass protection. So what does Greg Olsen have to do with Geno Smith to make sure he has a little bit of time or at least get the ball out quicker to some of their good receivers?
Yeah, the quickness is the key there.
Yeah.
There's no get off like these 2 edge rushers have. You said you've watched the film. I mean, you see it. Like, there's guys in that building in Denver that have told me, like, I know it's blasphemy to say. I know I shouldn't say it. But Nick Bonito's get off is as quick as Von Miller's. And that is something that you just do not hear. That is a future Hall of Famer with one of the fastest first steps we've seen in recent memory. But that's where Nick Bonito is. And Jonathan Cooper's not far behind him. They read the snap so well. I'd mix things up with my cadence. I'd mix things up with how I operate in terms of my offense because of how quickly they love to get off the ball. I'd look at what Lane Kiffin, he's on everybody's mind. I'd look at Cliff Kingsbury and what he did against Vance Joseph in this group just a week ago. Now, there's so much familiarity between Cliff and VJ because they were in Arizona together. And oftentimes you see that in a lot of these matchups when there's such a good understanding of one another. But you saw the way he moved Marcus, and you saw the way that they got rid of the football quickly, and you saw the way they used that quick passing game. It was very effective against this group. They want to get downhill. They want that record. They want to pin their ears back, and they want to move offensive linemen as far back and as quickly as they can. And you can take advantage of that. I think you can because in the middle of the field, they can be vulnerable at times. They certainly can. And I think everybody knows where they can take their shots opposite of Patrick Surtain if you have enough time to throw the football downfield. So I think that quick game is going to be everything. And maybe Cliff was able to show a couple things to the rest of the league about going against this Denver Broncos defense.
James, let's get to the Raiders defense and Maxx Crosby. I know you love putting on his tape, and he's had a great career against Denver, let alone what he's done against everybody else. But you know there's going to be a double team and a chip there. Malcolm Kuntz on the other side. No one's really showed up to put up big stats other than Maxx Crosby. These tackles for losses are amazing. And tell us about Pete Carroll playing this young secondary, these young corners. They got thrown into the fire, and Maxx is doing the best he can.
Yeah, Maxx is doing the best he can. I put something out a couple weeks ago, full transfer. I was like, I hope everybody just respects what Maxx Crosby is doing right now and what he is doing, you know, on that defensive line. And Maxx actually like wrote me something back, just like he knows everything that's going on, and he's never going to give you anything less than that maximum effort. But the issue is, and what I mentioned, is the way Nick Bonitto works and Jonathan Cooper works. When you have a running mate, whether it's Von Miller or DeMarcus Ware on the other side, it makes your life that much easier. The fact that he's doing it in the manner in which he is, with the attention that he gets, is the reason why I put that out there. It's just like, let's make sure we acknowledge that oftentimes this is happening. It's not a slight to anybody. It's just the facts that he's doing it, you know, in somewhat of a solo manner oftentimes, trying to get after the quarterback. And that has to happen because you mentioned how young the secondary is, and you mentioned that they've been kind of thrown into the fire. This is a young group of receivers for Denver. So, like, I think that's the part that I'm also interested in watch when this Broncos offense is on the field. Courtland Sutton's kind of a veteran, but then when you look at these young corners going against a rookie in Pat Bryant, and you look at, you know, second-year player in Troy Franklin, like, these are really young matchups out there, and oftentimes that's usually just one mistake. Somebody bites on something, somebody doesn't run the right route, and then it gets a little bit less clean when you have kind of that many young guys going against each other. But you need to get pressure. Like, you're going to need pressure. You're going to need probably a game-changing play from somebody like Maxx, to where Denver's done a decent job, like I mentioned earlier, of not hurting themselves. They don't turn the football over a ton. And Bo doesn't take a ton of sacks either. That's some of the main reasons that Sean Payton loved him coming out of Oregon, is that he doesn't have negative plays. You're going to need kind of one of those negative plays, strip sack type of thing, and Maxx is usually the one that comes up with making one of those plays.
I want to stay with that because the Broncos lead the NFL in sacks, but they've given up the least amount, 14 sacks only. You talked about Bo not taking it. What do you see with that offensive line? Because they get rid of Russell Wilson. They have a massive cap hit. They go into the draft. They rebuild this entire offense, and they're very patient with it. How good is Denver's offensive line when you look at the tape?
It's good. It really is. And you know what? It should be. That's where they put their money. That's where they put almost all their money. They put almost all their money in the trenches. What I think their advantage has been, and you mentioned that cap, you know, dead cap, massive hit that they took from Russell Wilson. And I think this isn't paid attention to enough. We know the way these salaries are getting in the NFL, right? And specifically at the key spots, whether it's quarterback, edge rusher, tackle, corner, and wide receiver, right? Those are our big money type of positions. Well, Denver has a bargain at Courtland Sutton as their number one wide receiver. They have an absolute steal in the new deal they did for Nick Bonitto and Jonathan Cooper. Their edge rushers are getting paid a fraction of what they should be, but really smart business by the Denver Broncos front office to have them paid where they're at. Garrett Bowles is a very good left tackle. They didn't overpay there as well, and Bo Nix is on a rookie contract. When you don't overpay at some of these spots, now Pat Surtain's highly paid, but when you look at the way the contracts have gone at corner, he's like 5th or 6th now, which is remarkable. And so my point of that is you're able to spread that other money out across the line, where you can have guys like Quinn Miners get paid pretty well as a guard, and you can have, you know, Mike McGlinchey on the other side paid decent as, you know, as a right tackle. And so you can have money to spend in some of these other spots, and they've used it along both of their offensive and defensive lines. What I like the way they've done it is Bo is a pretty good athlete. He gets rid of the football pretty quickly. That plays a part in this as well. There's an emphasis to not take sacks, but the part with the offensive line I want to focus on in this game is, can they find a way to open up holes for a run game that is not very good right now? And I think that's going to be the key for Denver moving forward. And in this game on Sunday is you lost J.K. Dobbins, who was running the football really, really well. Now you have a rookie in R.J. Harvey who loves to bounce the ball outside, has difficulty, as many young backs do, staying between the tackles. And you have Jaleel McLaughlin back there. Can they open up enough holes for this running game? When I talked to Sean Payton, he kind of puts the weight on the offensive line in the running game as well. So yes, they're pass protecting well, but at the same time, he's putting the emphasis on a young backfield that's behind him on that offensive line to open up some holes.
All right, James, last one. You were here when Allegiant Stadium opened. It hasn't been open very long. The Raiders were 8-0 combined against Denver since they opened up the stadium, and now the rivalry has shifted back to the Broncos. Give us one bold prediction for this game Sunday at Allegiant.
I don't know. I love that stadium, by the way. It really has become one of my favorites in the league. It really, really is. Man, bold prediction. I could see Bo taking a risk or two and it not paying off. And if the Raiders can capitalize on that and shift the field. What the main thing of why this defense is one of the best in football, not just the talent and what they do, is they're not ever put in short fields. They're not ever put in difficult situations. Yes, they're very good on third down and very good in the red zone. But a bold prediction would be if Maxx or somebody makes a play to put the Raiders in a really, really short down-to-go distance. And Bo has had a tendency to maybe take a risk early in a drive or two, and maybe he lets one sail, and maybe one of those balls gets tipped at the line of scrimmage, or something happens early in a drive where they have tried to be aggressive, and a quick turnover happens, and then the course of the game changes a little bit more than we've seen recently with Broncos games.
James, have a great holiday season. Thanks a lot for doing this.
No problem. Anytime.
You got it. All right, what can we expect from the Raiders offense this week? Former Raiders wide receiver Brice Butler joins us next on the show to talk about it.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead. There you go. I'll show you. Like, before your basement became Movie Central, we made sure you'd have strong Wi-Fi, even down here. And you can rest easy knowing the price of your plan won't go up for 3 years. Guaranteed. See? He's looking out for you, and so are we, with advanced security that blocks threats on your network. Good boy. Whatever the future brings, Cox will keep you a step ahead. Oh.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
From the fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, what a move!
How about Totally Obsessed? We created a cocktail that requires 7 unique ingredients. The most important one, 1800 tequila. Just as obsessed with taste and quality as we are. The world's most awarded tequila, proudly poured at the world's best bar.
The Silver and Black Show is brought to you by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Allegiant, the official airline of the Raiders. Low fares, nonstop flights only at Allegiant.com. Victory Live, connecting the world of live experiences. And by 1800 Tequila, official partner of the Raiders. Taste is everything. Please drink responsibly.
Welcome back to the Silver and Black Show. The Raiders offense will be looking to pick things up this week. And to help us talk about it, we welcome in former Raiders wide receiver Brice Butler. Brice, so great to talk to you again. Appreciate you coming on. I want to begin with this rivalry. You were in this rivalry the last time the Raiders played. They only lost by 3 points. What do they need to do, big picture, to get going in this game?
JT, man, you know what it is when it's a divisional rivalry game. It doesn't matter what the records are. Anything goes. The last game was a close game. It was a defensive battle. I expect more of that this time. Obviously, the Broncos are, I think, the #1 seeded team in the AFC, and it would be nothing better for the Raiders to go out there and knock them off their mantle. Obviously, they are riding high right now. but our team is hungry. We're trying to find a win, and this will be a great week to do so. But to answer your question, I just think more of the same as the last game. Defensive battle, and then go out there and punch in a couple more points so we can take it home this time.
They made an offensive coordinator change, obviously. Chip Kelly out. Greg Olson, who you know, is back in here. So what do you think with Greg Olson now only calling these plays, maybe a little bit more up-tempo to get this offense going after the Bowers 2-touchdown performance?
Yeah, the thing that I remember so much about Greg Olson is going to be a balanced attack. We're going to have a steady dose of the run game. He's going to like to be in 12 personnel a lot, and we have a perfect team for 12 personnel. We got 2 great tight ends. Obviously, we have Brock Bowers. And so what I saw last week with him going in there was just a little bit more of a balanced attack. We're not really as explosive yet as we would like to be, but, you know, things take time. This is the second year in a row where we had an offensive coordinator change, which is really unprecedented. But, you know, with Greg Olson, I expect the team to just continue to make strides week after week. And this week, you know, just continue to have a steady dose of the 12 personnel and let Ashton Jeanty try to get loose a little bit.
Bryce, one of the things I want to get in with you about is you were really good in the red zone. And when you throw it in the end zone, not checking down, things happen where you can go get a ball. And I think coming off what Bowers did with his 2 targets in the end zone, one was a spectacular catch, but throwing the ball in the end zone compared to checking down and hoping someone can get in the end zone. What's the difference there?
It's a huge difference. When you throw the ball in the end zone, you allow your guys to make plays. Give your guys chances to make plays, even if it's like a straight up fade or it's an off schedule throw. A lot of the red zone touchdowns are off schedule plays. So if Geno is scrambling around a little bit, which he's been doing a lot this season, and at least throws the ball in the end zone and gives a guy a chance, you have a better percentage of actually scoring 6 points. Because in the red zone, we know 7 points, 3-point swings, those are huge differences in games, especially divisional games. And we need 7 points. We don't score 30 points a game. We're not that type of offense right now. So we need to be able to knock it in for 7 when we get those opportunities.
I love this because Patrick Surtain is back in this game. You got to expect him to be doubling and go single on Brock Bowers. But I say, who cares? Go back to Brock. Get him open. Yep. Let him. What about him in motion going up against one of the best young defenders in all of football? How does he get open at the line of scrimmage so Geno, who's been sacked a lot, can get the ball out early?
You got to scheme him open. Obviously, Patrick Surtain is one of the best corners in the league. Like, he's a shutdown. But Brock Bowers is a dog now. Like, we know that for sure. But what I would do if I was Greg, if I was Geno, I would be thinking of ways to put Brock in situations where Pat can't just sit on top of him. We don't want Brock just sitting stationary at the X position, just sitting on top of Pat Surtain saying, hey, mano a mano, like, you athletic him. We know Patrick Surtain is probably going to win those situations. So let's move him. Let's move him across the across the line. Let's move him on this side of the field. Let's move him here. Let's put him in a stack. Let's, do some meshes. And then every once in a while, hey, let's set him up on that one side and let him throw a fade. Let him go get a fade. So that's how I would do it. I wouldn't just let Patrick Surtain sit with his heels down on Brock all game. I would like to scheme him open all weekend.
Bryce, I want to get to the running game. It's really been a struggle here, but I tell everyone, and you watch every game, when Ashton Jeanty gets the ball in space, he's unbelievable. He's got some nice numbers, but when he gets blown up behind the line of scrimmage, the stats go way down. So as you're watching this team in the offensive line struggle, every week we're talking about getting a better push when it comes to run blocking. What do you think with Ashton Jeanty? Do you want him outside? Do you want him more in the passing game? How do we get him going in this matchup with the Broncos?
Man, JT, we've been struggling all year with our offensive line. Obviously, I play receiver. So I can't tell you that I know what the offensive line needs to do, but one thing I will say is when you have a rushing game, like, everything else opens up. So I would do everything in my power to try to get Ashton Jeanty going. You mentioned that when he's in space, he's making plays, but when it's kind of bottled up, he's not. I would just say, don't lose faith in it. The biggest thing about the teams that run the ball well, they keep going downhill. They keep going downhill. They keep going downhill. And Ashton Jeanty is a guy that, from what I've seen from him being in college, is the more touches he gets, the better he gets. You know, you can't give him 10 to 12 touches and expect that he's about to have 150 yards, especially when we're in a situation where our offensive line hasn't matured, yet. So the biggest thing for me is just keep giving him the ball, and I think Greg Olsen will do that. He's a guy that relies on the running game, so just keep giving Ashton Jeanty the ball, and if he gets blown up a couple times, keep handing him the ball. Keep handing the ball. Don't lose faith in the running game.
Right, so let's go to the defense. The last couple of games, there's been a backbreaker play that's gone against the Raiders. A 60-yard run, a screen pass for a touchdown here. With Maxx Crosby in this defense, what do they have to do early at Allegiant Stadium to set the tone with this defense against Bo Nix?
The biggest thing for a team like that we have, where we have a pretty good rushing attack, not rushing attack, we have a pretty good rush on the quarterback with Maxx leading the charge, is you want teams to play behind the chains. So the biggest thing I would say this week against Denver is in early downs, you got to stop the run. They have a pretty solid running game. They have a pretty solid screen game as well. So you got to surround the ball, get them down early in the first and second downs. So when it's third down, it's third and long situations. Teams don't typically have success when they are sitting in 3rd and 7 and longer for a majority of the game. So I think our advantage on defense would be stop them in the early downs, stop the run game, and then make Bo Nix have to look for somebody deeper down the field on third downs.
All right, Brice, last one. Here's the question. The Raiders win if?
The Raiders win if we can play solid football, okay? Stick to the run game, RPO action, let Geno get the ball out of his hands quick. We need our receivers to win early. Get the ball out of Geno's hands because we haven't been able to protect for longer than 2 to 3 seconds. Let him get it out of his hands. The defense does their thing, but keep them off the field. The Raiders can get this W.
Brice, best to you and your family. Thanks a lot. Can't wait to see you soon.
JT, appreciate you, man. Happy holidays, everybody.
Right back at you. Coming up next, wide receiver Jack Bech stops by next on the Silver and Black Show.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead. There you go. I'll show you. Like, before your basement became Movie Central, we made sure you'd have strong Wi-Fi, even down here. And you can rest easy knowing the price of your plan won't go up for 3 years. Guaranteed. See? He's looking out for you, and so are we, with advanced security that blocks threats on your network. Good boy. Whatever the future brings, Cox will keep you a step ahead. Oh.
How about totally obsessed? We created a cocktail that requires 7 unique ingredients. The most important one? 1800 tequila. Just as obsessed with taste and quality as we are. The world's most awarded tequila, proudly poured at the world's best bar.
From the fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, what a move!
The Silver and Black Show is brought to you by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Allegiant, the official airline of the Raiders. Low fares, nonstop flights only at Allegiant.com. Victory Live, connecting the world of live experiences. And by 1800 Tequila, official partner of the Raiders. Taste is everything. Please drink responsibly.
Pleasure to be joined by Jack Bech. And Jack, let's get into this rivalry game coming up. As a rookie, all these games are really important, but the buzz around the building when you play the Broncos, how's it different?
It's definitely, every game we play is a big game, but, especially divisional, rivals definitely brings a little more juice to the building. We get up for every game, but, there are definitely a few games, when everybody's schedule, whether that's high school, college, NFL, where it just means a little bit more, and this is definitely one of those games.
Yeah, I wanted to tie that in with college with you and the biggest games where you had your best games. Does it just feel like that juice you're talking about makes you get out there in warm-ups a little bit more focused to put on a show?
100%. I've always been the type of person that, loves the whenever the games are big, that's whenever, not only myself, but I feel like a lot of the guys on our team come out and play their best ball. So, we're excited to have another shot at these guys. Lost a close one, last go around a few weeks ago. So, we're ready to, touch up on a few things and go out there and give them one hell of a fight.
What do you remember about that game? 10-7, a missed field goal, an opportunity to win the game. I thought you outplayed the Broncos for most of the game, but to their credit, they're winning all their close ones.
Right, yeah. No, I mean, like you said, they're a really solid team. They figured out how to win those close games. We've had a bunch of nail biters. Like I said, we just have to touch up a few things. And, one of the things that Coach Carroll emphasized a lot is finishing, doing right longer than the other teams. So, we just have to put that into play, a little more than we have been doing. I love our chances that we have this week.
I want to stay with Coach Carroll because he evaluates tape every day. You got to be accountable every day with competition. What's that been like for you, knowing every practice as you want your touches and targets to go up, you need to have a great practice? What type of pressure is that every time you walk out on the practice field?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I just think that culture that Coach Carroll has built around competition, whenever you have a culture like that and everybody is out there competing and feels that, knowing that if you want to get more reps, if you want to get more playing time, then you have to go out and not only produce on Sundays, but you have to go out and you have to produce on Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays. Iron sharpens iron. It gets everybody on the team, from receivers, running backs, DBs, D linemen, O linemen. It gets everybody going, and whenever you do that, it's not only self-improvement for yourself, but whenever you have self-improvement, it's also improving the people across the line from you. So it's been a great culture.
I want to stay with that because the fans want to know what's going on in the building and they don't get a chance to see it, but they see it on game day. So the patience that you have and your position coach has with you on days where you'd want to get more targets or that, you still got to walk into this building prepared to be at your best.
100%. Yeah, no, it doesn't matter the circumstance. You have to be ready whenever your name and your number is called. It doesn't matter, what position you're in. It doesn't matter if you're a 10-year vet or a first-year rookie. You have to be ready. You have to be prepared. And you have to prepare like every play, every game, every practice is your last. And that game is going to be the game where your number, your name is called, and you're going to have to go out there and produce and help this team win the game.
You're going to love this. I text Fred Biletnikoff, one of the greatest receivers ever, today that I was going to interview him and said, tell me something about him, what you like. And he says, the discipline now in your route running. How have you been working on that? Because Freddie B sees it sitting at the games and watching on TV. How have you improved that?
Yeah, I think it's just an everyday thing. And I think it's also a big thing of, watching film. You're not going to run the same exact route the same way every week. You have to build nuance of not only the defense you're going against and the coverages they play, but the personnel on the other team. If it's more of a zone team, if it's more of a zone team, you need to get to a spot and you need to be there when you're supposed to be there, where whenever you're playing a man-type team like we are this week, it's about just going out there and winning your one-on-ones, giving it a little bit more in the route, creating that extra, step of separation to go out there and win. So, it's really about just every week learning, growing, understanding the film, getting with the QBs, beginning with the QBs every morning around 7 a.m., and just really starting to understand the game more and more and more, not only at practice but through game reps, and really just understanding how to, how to fit your routes into that week and what you're playing. If you need a double move, triple move, if you need to be physical at the top of route, just understanding personnel and coverages.
When I met you for the first time at the draft class luncheon and then media day, I really want to always ask you about your brother, My Cause, My Cleats, his legacy, how important that is for you every day, every time you're in front of a microphone and a camera to talk about your late brother.
Yeah, no, 100%. I've said it so many times, and I'll just keep saying, everything I do is for the Lord and for my brother. I truly have the greatest guardian angels in the two of them. I'm truly just so blessed and thankful I can have that, and that we can, that the Lord and my brother have let me turn a bad situation into one where I get to feel like they're with me all the time now. Instead of him living up in New York and us being, however far apart that is, however many thousands of miles, now he's with me on my shoulders, every time I'm out there on that field, in the interviews, in the locker room, game days, just throughout everyday life. So truly just so blessed about that, coming up on the 1 year, January 1st. So getting close to that, but just always understanding and realizing that, he's with us every step of the way, and that the Lord and my brother, they have a perfect plan, not only for myself, but for my family, for our friends, for all the people we know and we don't know, and everything is going to work out perfect and go great in due time. Nicely said. Who are your friends now? These are your teammates. You love them all, but is there a veteran and a rookie? Because I figure the rookies are all tight, but is there a veteran on this team that you really bonded with outside the building? Yeah, I definitely think there's a few, guys like Trey, just all the camaraderie we have inside the building leads to just camaraderie outside the building. Just always getting with those QBs in the morning, so having that relationship with them outside the building. Obviously, me and Dante, are boys. That's my guy right there. But there's definitely a whole bunch of guys, Brock and Dylan and Bach and like I said, Dante, Ash, and Caleb Rogers. I mean, there's a lot to name. I feel like I could sit here all day just naming everybody all the rookies and most of the guys on the team. So the club choice for NFL Man of the Year is Maxx Crosby. No surprise there. What is it like? Take me behind the scenes when you pull up, you see his car there, and he's ready to go. Does he kind of make eye contact with you when you're coming out there and getting ready to go? What's it like being a teammate to Maxx Crosby? It's awesome. He's taught me a lot, not just by words spoken between the both of us, but by me just simply observing the way he works and the way he does certain things. You don't come across many, not only players, but people like him, just the work ethic he has, the hunger he has. Even after all the achievements that he already has received and he's worked for, it's like he's never started a game in the NFL. Like his hunger and his passion, his grit, his endurance. He never takes a play off. Doesn't matter if that's practice, games, and then the conversations we have. Just picking his brain and hearing the way he thinks and his thought process on different things has really helped me grow as not only a player but as a person as well. So the record isn't what you expected it to be. No one did. But the way I'm looking at this game is there's only two teams in the NFL that have double-digit wins. It's Denver and the Patriots. You beat the Patriots. How important would it be to beat a 10-win Bronco team, stop this streak, losing streak, and the streak against the Broncos, and just come home that night, celebrate a win? Yeah, no, it would be great. That's what we're focused on this week and every week. We come out here, we practice super hard. We get on point with all of our keys for the game and what we have to do to go out there and win. Like I said, we played them close last game, so we just have another opportunity, another shot to go out there and play the game that we love, and to go out there and give them our best shot and go get a W. Outstanding. Thanks, Jack. Yep, thank you. Coming up, Maxx Crosby continues to shine off the field in one last thing.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead. There you go. I'll show you. Like, before your basement became movie central, we made sure you'd have strong Wi-Fi, even down here. And you can rest easy knowing the price of your plan won't go up for 3 years. Guaranteed. See? He's looking out for you, and so are we, with advanced security that blocks threats on your network. Good boy. Whatever the future brings, Cox will keep you a step ahead. Oh.
From the fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, what a move!
How about totally obsessed? We created a cocktail that requires 7 unique ingredients. The most important one, 1800 tequila. Just as obsessed with taste and quality as we are. The world's most awarded tequila, proudly poured at the world's best bar.
I wasn't able to get here by myself. I was an underdog and I wasn't expected at all to be in this position. I've always loved doing things for other people. It's not about me, you know, it's about others, and that's the whole point of my foundation, is giving to others. What's up, y'all?
I believe it's the third year in a row in which you are being nominated for Man of the Year. How does that make you feel?
And it's a major blessing, but just being put in a position where, you know, I could make a real impact on others' lives, and, you know, people they know they can rely on me and come to me. Want me to help you? You got it. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Good to meet you. I love it. How you like it? What do you think? I do.
The Maxx Crosby Foundation has really 2 main missions. One is animal rescue, animal and pet rescue. And number 2, which really means a lot to Max because of his story, is addiction treatment.
I am proud to recognize the tremendous impact of the Maxx Crosby Foundation and celebrate all its accomplishments here in Southern Nevada. The Maxx Crosby Foundation has quickly become a force for good in our community.
It's like me and Rachel's other baby because, you know, we put a lot of time and effort and thought into creating this. We're having a great time, you know, just being able to give back and serve our community.
I think Max supports us every single day with the way that he works and, you know, the insights that he gives, the communication he has.
When he said something about this, I mean, it was no hesitation just to come up here and support him and support his foundation.
Happy Thanksgiving. We're, you know, ingrained in this community, and we want to be able to, you know, give back as much as we possibly can. It's been an amazing journey so far, and we got a lot of work to do. Being in this position has been such a blessing, and being nominated is a huge blessing, but it's really about my team and all the people around me on a daily basis that help bring this vision to life.
The Walter Payton Man of the Year will be announced at NFL Honors during Super Bowl week. This will be Maxx Crosby's 3rd consecutive year as the Raiders club winner. Join us in celebrating Maxx by voting at Raiders.com/WPMOY. You can also enter for a chance to win Maxx game-worn cleats, an autographed jersey, and 2 tickets to his gala, An Evening with Maxx Crosby. You may also show your support for Maxx by voting in the nationwide charity challenge using the hashtag WPMOY challenge, along with the last name or X handle of your chosen player. Good luck to Maxx. He deserves to win this. That'll do it for us. It's Raiders Broncos from Allegiant Stadium. Kickoff is set for 1:05 p.m. Pacific. Have a great weekend, everyone.